Come back to my channel, soulmate. In today's tutorial I'm going to show us how to create a fabric manipulation idea for bodice design using the pleat method. And today's tutorial is going to be a beginner friendly tutorial. My name is Ajulam. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, you're welcome. Please subscribe and click on the notification bell so that I get to know anytime I post new videos. So if you're interested in this topic, let's get started. Here are the things that I'll be using to make this beautiful outfit. I have my African print, and of course I have my satin, and I'll also use my peplum stay. If you don't have a peplum stay, you can use your wadum or your hair stay, but I prefer using this because it's going to help the pleat to stand very well. So you can work with any fabric of your choice. So the first thing I'm going to do is to draft the bodice pattern. Yes, I'm going to be showing us how to do this because this dress is for a teenage girl, a 14-year-old to be precise. So I'm going to show you how to draft a basic bodice pattern for that age. So if you want to make this dress or you want to make any other dress for a teenage girl, this is how you go about drafting out the bodice pattern. Alright, it's almost the same with the normal one that I used to show us, but this one is a little different because I'll be adding a dart, a princess dart to this. So as you can see, this is my pattern paper. The first thing I'm going to do is to demarcate or to divide this into two to get both the lines for both the front and the back. So you can see that I have two parts here. This is the midpoint, so this is going to be for the front and this is going to be for the back. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is to mark out the most important measurement for this bodice part, which is the armhole line, the chest, the bust point, and then the under the bust point. This is very important because there's a fit that I want this upper part to have. It's optional. If you want, you can use the normal waist dart. It's up to you, but for this I'll be using a princess dart. So if you want to use a princess dart like myself, all you need to do is to follow the process but work with your own measurement. Alright, so now the first thing to do is to mark out the chest line or the bust line. Now to do that, I'm going to divide the shoulder measurement by 2 and then add whatever inch you want to use as the shoulder slope. So for this, the shoulder measurement is 14. So 14 divided by 2, I'll have 7. Alright, so now for the shoulder slope, I'll be using 0.75. So you add that to 7, that is going to give me 7.75. So this is going to be the bust line or the chest line. You can also call it the armhole line. So this is 7.75 here. I'll just go ahead and connect the line. You're going to be marking the same on the back piece. So this is my 7.75 and this is the line on this other side. Okay, I already marked the dots so that because I don't want this video to be too long, so I just mark the dots for easy marking. So after doing that, the next is the bust point. So from shoulder to the bust point is 9¼ which I've already marked. So all I need to do is to connect the point, and then after that you're going to label your lines so that you know you don't make any mistake. So this is the bust point. Alright, so this is it. The next one now is the under the bust line, which is for this is 12.75. so I'll just go ahead and connect the line. So this is very important if you really want to achieve a good fit on this front side, especially if you want to make this for a teenage girl. Alright, so you really need to add that. Okay, so now this is what I have. Now after doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out the shoulder measurement. So this is the line. Now remember that from this point to this point is the bodice that I'm working with, which is 15 inches. After marking this out, I will now add my shoulder sewing allowance and of course the waist sewing allowance as well. So I'll come over to this point and then mark out half of the shoulder measurement, which is also 7 inches. But I'll be adding my sleeve sewing allowance because there's a sleeve to this dress, so you need to include that. And then whatever you did there, you're going to take it down to this armhole line and then connect. But before connecting, remember that I said I'll be using 0.75 as the shoulder slope, so I'm going to mark that here, and then I'll connect the line to the straight one. Now remember that this is for the front side. Okay, now this is what I have. Then after doing this, you're going to decide what to use as the neck width and the neck depth. So for the neck width, I'll make this 3.5, while the depth I'll be making it 4 inches. I want it to be very free, so this is 3.5 for the width, and the depth is 4 inches, which is here. And then I'm going to connect. At least I've tried to make the lines to be more visible so you understand what I am saying. So now the next thing to do is to create the armhole curve before we now move on to the princess dart part. Alright, so to do that, all I need to do is just to get the midpoint of what I have here, which is already 7 inches. So half of that is 3.5, so this is 7 inches here, and this is 3.5 here. Okay, then on that point I'll just go in by 0.75, and then I'm going to be marking the bust measurement. So for this, the bust measurement is 36. All right, 36 divided by 4 is 9, which is here. So I'll just go ahead and create the curve. You can see that it's almost the same, but with a little different with the other bodice pattern that we've done so far on this channel. Okay, so I'll just connect. Okay, so this is what I have. Now to get the princess dart, all I need to do is to note this midpoint. Okay, you can just use your straight ruler to note the point on the curve. So this is the point here on the curve. Okay, so that is the point. So from that point now, I will just come down by 1/2 inch. Okay, so you can see it better. So on this point, I will just come down by 1/2 inch. So just go ahead and mark 1/2 inch from this point, which is now here. Right, so this is where the princess dart will either start or end. Okay, so after doing that, I'll come down to the waistline to mark out the chest span measurement. So for this, the chest span measurement is 7 inches. So half of that is 3.5. So I'll just go ahead and mark my 3.5. I'm going to mark this up to the bust point area, and then I'll connect it to a straight line. So this is 3.5. Here is 3.5. So I'll go ahead and connect. So just connect it straight. Okay, and then you can use your ruler just to connect it now from this point that you marked here. Just connect it to meet up to the bust point area. You can also use your free hand to do this part. Okay, so now this is what I have. So after doing this, now we're going to extend this point by 0.75. This way, by the time you finish joining this part, you will not have any shortage. If you cut it as it is, you're going to have shortage at the end of the day. So all I need to do is just to extend this line a bit, up to 0.75 like I just said. Okay, you can just use your ruler. Alright, so that is 0.75. Just extend it following the curve as it is. Alright, and then I'm going to connect it now. Remember that here I've not added my sewing allowance. Okay, we're going to do that later. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll connect the new line now. This is going to be the new armhole curve. Okay, so this is how we're going to be cutting this part. So this side is out of the way. So this part is very important. If not, you're going to get stuck while sewing this. Okay, so I'll come down again on this waistline because I want this front to have a very good fit. So all I need to do, I'm going to be using 1 inch on this other side and then half an inch on this other side. This is my dart leg now. So this part that is closer to the center line, I'll mark half an inch. Okay, and I'll mark the same half an inch. Remember that this is under the bust line, so I'm going to mark the same half an inch on this point. Okay, and then for this side that is close to the side, I'll be marking 1 inch. If you want, you can also use 0.75, but 1 inch is very okay because of the fit that I have in mind to achieve. Okay, so I'll go ahead and connect it straight first. Alright, and then I'll connect this side as well. Okay, and then we're going to be using my ruler now just to connect it to this bust point. Okay, I don't want it to be too curvy, just simple. So I'll just connect it like this. And then same thing goes to this other side. I'll just connect. This is similar to what we do when making a bustier for adults, but this one is a little, this one is very little. It's not that deep like the one we do with bustier pattern. Alright, so this is what I have now. I am going to now mark out the rest of my measurements for the front. So the bust now is, this is the new bust measurement. So I'm going to include whatever seam or side sewing allowance I want to use. You can use 1, you can use 1.5. So for this I'm using 1.25. Alright, I don't want to waste my fabric, so 1.25 is okay for me. So I'll just go ahead and extend the line. Okay, but remember to always add your sewing allowance anytime you do any form of cutting. Make sure to include the sewing allowance. So for the waist measurement is 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. Now if I add the 1.5 here, which I use here, this is it, 1.5 is here, and then I'll add another 1.25 that I'm using now as my side sewing allowance. That is the point right there. I will now connect. So this, you really need to take your time. It's very simple. What you need to do is to take your time to digest this very well. Alright, so this is what I have here. Now for the manipulation that we're going to be doing on this front side, I'll be cutting that off now from this bust point. Alright, so from this bust point, that is where we are going to be fixing the pleats, which we're going to be using this peplum stay. So we're going to fix it from this bust line. But if you don't want to use the bust line, you can still come down a bit. At the end of the day, you make sure that you have what you have at the end of the day will be exactly what you really want. So for me, I'll be cutting this part open. Alright, anyway, we're going to be taking it one step at a time. So I'll move over to the back side now. We need to complete this pattern so we can cut and start sewing. Alright, so this is the main part for you to really understand. You can always use this to make different designs for teen or for teenage girls. So I'm going to repeat what I did here now. For this part, just mark out the half of the shoulder measurement and then the neck width, which is 3.5. Okay, and then have 0.75 for the back shoulder slope. Then for the back neck depth, I decided to use same 0.75. Then I'll just quickly rush this part because this side is very simple. So I'll just connect. Okay, so go ahead, connect the neck. Okay, then I'll come to this chest line and mark my 7.5. Remember I said you should include your sleeve sewing allowance. Okay, so I'll just connect. So for this back, you can decide to also make it like a princess that. If you want, you can just make it a normal waist that is still okay. So for this back, I'll just make it a normal waist that. That is what I'm going to be doing for this back side. Alright, so now I'm going to mark out the chest measurement. Remember, I'm working with 9 inches, which is here. Then I'll get a midpoint here, which is 3.5. Now for this back side, I'll just go in by 1/4 inch. Remember that we'll be adding sleeve, so I'll just go in. This part is optional. If you want, you can just connect your armhole straight to meet up to this line. Okay, but there's a fit that I want this back to have. That's why I am going in by 1/4 inch. Okay, then I'll connect. Okay, by the time you try the two different methods, you will see the difference by yourself. Okay, so now we'll come down and mark the chest span measurement, which is 3.5. Okay, and then I'll do the same on this bust point. On the bust point, I'll just come down by 1 inch. You can see the way I am doing it. So this is where it's going to start or end on this point. Okay, so now for this particular one, now this is a waist that. Okay, now instead of adding the leg this side, I am going to be, the leg should start from here, should either start or end from here. So whatever inch that I want to use as the dart sewing allowance, I'm going to be marking it here. So I'll just make it 1 inch is what I want to use for my dart sewing allowance. So by the time I'll sew, I'll just fold like this, so that after sewing, I will still maintain the exact chest span measurement for this back side. So I'll just go ahead and repeat the same on this part. Okay, and this is the 1 inch. Then I'll connect. So this will now be the center. So this is how it's going to be now. Alright, so this is what I have. Then again, I'll come to this zipper area. Okay, this zipper area now, I need to remove the bulge at the back. I want this back to give me a perfect fit. So all I need to do is come down to this waist area, and then I'll just mark 1/4 inch off. Okay, if you like, you can also use 1/2 inch. Alright, but I'll just use 1/4. It's very okay for me. So I'll just connect it like that. Now from this back neck depth, I'll just connect. So this part is going off. Then again, on this waistline, we'll also cut off 1/2 inch. If you're a returning subscriber, you should know why I am cutting off or marking out this 1/2 inch. So that after sewing the front and the back, you're going to be having the back side well seated on the waist line. So this is it. This part is also going off. Alright, so here I'll just mark out the waist measurement, which is 7.5 plus this 1 inch, that, and then plus the 1 1/4 that I'm using as the side sewing allowance. So here I'll just add the 1 1/4 side sewing allowance, and the back pattern is ready. Is as simple as that. So I'll quickly cut this out, cut on our fabric so we can start sewing. This is the front pattern, as you can see after cutting it out. Now remember that I said Then I'll be cutting these parts off. So this is where I'll be attaching the pleat. So I'm going to number this so that I don't make any mistake. This is 2, 3, and 4. Then I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to cut it open. And then when I place this on my fabric, I'll just include the joining allowance just on this side. Alright, so I'll just quickly cut on my satin, then we can start the sewing. This is where we are so far. As you can see, I just finished sewing. Just follow the way you cut and sew in the darts, and this is what I have. So the next thing to do, I'll go ahead and show you how to play around with your fabric, or how to manipulate your fabric to create the pleat that will sit on this upper side. So the first thing I'm going to do is to decide the height of the plate. Okay, so you can decide to come over to this center neckline and then just go down by 1 inch or 1 1/4 or 1 1/2. It all depends on how you want this part to be. Okay, so for this I'll just make it 1 1/4, which is this point here. So I'm going to place my tape there to check what I have all the way down to this end. So this is 4 1/2 from this point. Then I'm going to be adding 1 inch to that because we're going to be closing this part, so that will be 5 inches. So on this other one I'll be cutting, and the height of this is going to be 5 inches. That is the pleat. I'll be making it 5 inches. So I'll just keep this aside and then note what I want to use as the height. So here I have 1 yard. I just cut out 1 yard. As you can see, I only iron for easy spreading. Okay, so I'll just open it up now, and then the first thing I'm going to do is to notch the center point. So I'll fold it again and then notch this point here. Okay, and remember that my fabric is already on fold. As you can see, this is just 1 yard on fold. Okay, so I'll open it up again, and then I'll come over to this center point here, and then I'm going to mark 2 inches. So I'll just go ahead and mark 2 inches. We're going to be creating a little curve on this part before marking out the height that I'll be using for the pleat. If you leave it straight like this, by the time you pleat, you're going to struggle with it. So you need to cut off some inches on this part before marking. That way you end up having a very relaxed or flat pleat. So I'll just go ahead and mark 2 inches. Okay, then I'll come over like the center of this. Remember that this is the center point, then half of it again. I'll just mark 2 inches there, and then I'll go over to the end here and use my chalk. You can see I'm starting from this edge and then connect it to meet up to those points, the 2 inches that I marked. This is how I'm cutting it off. So I'll connect it to meet up to this one here, and then I'll repeat the same for this other side. Okay, so I'll just mark 2 inches. This is just to enable your plate to lay flat after joining it. Then I'll come to this edge again and just connect. You can use your free hand and connect. Then after connecting, I'll be cutting it off before marking out the height of what I'll be using to create the pleat. So I'll just quickly cut. So on this part we're going to be using the peplum stay on it, so that after sewing or after attaching it, it will stand firm without moving around. Alright, so I'll fold again. This is what I have. You can see that it's no longer straight. Okay, when you fold again, you also notch the center point and then open it up. Okay, so this is it. Now this is the center, the new center point is here now. So on this point I've marked out the 5 inches that I want to use. So just mark out 5 inches. Remember that my joining allowance is included. I'll come over again. I'm just repeating what I did, just that this particular one, the inches is bigger, so this is 5 inches. Then I will go over to the end again and then connect it to meet up to that, starting from this edge. Okay, so you just trace it to meet up to that end, and I'll repeat the same process on the other side. And you can see that it's ready. All I need to do is to use my peplum stay on it and then join it together and simply pleat. It's very easy and simple to work with. After pleating, I will now join it on that bodice part, and then we move over to the other ruffle that is going to sit exactly on the waist line. So I'll just quickly cut this and then use my peplum stay like I just explained on it, and then we continue. Alright, here we are after sewing it. This is what I have. So remember to notch the center point and do the same on this other one. So this is the center point. So I'm going to notch this one as well. Okay, just fold into 2 just to get the midpoint. Then you notch. After notching, now we're going to place this and plait it while it's on top of this. Now this is the 2 center points. We're going to match it together like this. Okay, then we'll start pleating. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Then you can decide how to start, whether to start exactly on the midpoint or by the side. So I'll just start by the side like this and keep folding like a pleat. Okay, and then you can use your pin to hold it there before pinning the second one. Okay, so we'll just continue going that way until I finish it off. Okay, then the second one, just like that, we're going to pleat. You know, I've added my peplum stay, so it's a little hard, so I'll just keep on going that way. I'll fold, and then just like that. The third one. So that is just how I will continue going until I exhaust all that I have, and then I'm going to repeat the same process on this other side. Okay, you can see that this part is very easy and simple to work with. Okay, so just like that, you keep on folding and until you get to the end. So I'll repeat the same on this other side and join it together with this. Then I will also use my satin now to run the little ruffles on this side, then join it together with this. So I'll just quickly do this part so we can cut the skirt part and then join it together for you to see the final look. This is where we are after joining my pleats on this part. You can see how simple it is. All I need to do is just to hold it at one point, just one, and so that it will not be going, you know, to this other side. So now the next thing to do is to create the ruffles that will now cover up this space here. And to do that, you're going to measure what you have, the height and the width. Now for the height, I'll simply place my tape from here to get the height. This is 6 inches, and then the width is, this is 18.5 inches. We'll be adding extra 1.5 to this because we're going to gather at the center and then on the two sides. Okay, so I'm working with 6 inches and 20 inches width. Now for this side, now remember that it's going to be a ruffle, meaning you need to multiply whatever you have as the height at least by 2, so you can use it to create the ruffles. But for this, I'll be multiplying mine by 3, so I'll be cutting out now 20 inches by 18 inches. Remember I said multiply whatever you have here, you're going to multiply by at least 2, but I'm doing my 3, that is 18. So here I already have that out. Okay, so this is it. I have my 18 inches here, that is for the height, and the width is by 20. Okay, so now I'm going to get the midpoint and mark it all the way down, because like I said earlier, I'm going to use my gather stitch to run it on the center and on both sides. But before you do that, you're going to be folding like 2 inches on this part. This is the side that will rest on the plate. You know, this part we're not joining it again, it's just going to sit on top of that plate. So you need to fold it in this way so that you have a very clean work on this end, while this other side will now be we're going to join this side together with the skirt, so you don't need to fold it in. All right, so let me quickly get the midpoint and then gather it, and also on the side, and then pull it together until it will cover up this space here. So here you can see that I just finished gathering it like I just explained. After using your gather stitch to sew on the middle and then on the sides, you're going to pull it together to be the same height with what you have here. And then you can see that I folded this part in like 2 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to place this center one to meet up to the center part of this. So to do that, I'll just go ahead and use my pin to secure it neatly. So make sure that it is the same, it should be exactly on the center with what you have inside. So then you place it in a way that this part will cover up this joining here so that it will not be visible. Alright, so I'm going to use my pin and secure it all the way down, and then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and stitch it to hold it, after which I will now straighten up this part and then adjust it the way I want it to be, then give it a good press. You can see that it's very simple. All you need to do is just to take your time and you will definitely get it right. Then I'll repeat the same for this other side, after which I'll now close the side and join the skirt part. Alright, so I'll just quickly do this part. For the sleeve, I already have a detailed video on how to make a tulip sleeve. I'm going to drop the link here so you can check that out, so for you to know how to create your tulip sleeve. Then for the skirt part, remember I said I'll be using the pleat to do that. I also have a detailed video on that, which I'll also drop here for you to check that out. This video is already long, so let me just quickly join all this together and show you the final look of this dress. So guys, this is the final look of the dress. You can see that it's already looking so beautiful. All I need to do now is to give it a good press. All right, and here you have it. Like I said earlier, for the tulip sleeve, I already have a video on that, you can check that. And for the skirt, I also have a detailed video on that as well, so you can just check that to see how to make a flare pleat. All right, so that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have not, and I will see you all in my next one.